We speak now to UDM leader General Bantu Holomisa. His party is one of the applicants in this court challenge. A very good evening to you, General. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's just get straight to what some of the arguments have been that have been made by the president. The president saying no, you are, as the applicants are saying that the mere fact that the president's best efforts may not have produced the results desired by the applicants in the case does not mean that the president has failed to uphold and defend and respect the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic. So this has been suggested by the president through reading what you have filed as the applicants.
Well, unfortunately, the president is representing the African National Congress. The African National Congress has been in government here since 1994. As early as 1997-98, they were warned that they need to look at the future of ESCOM with a view to build its capacity as the population is growing. They ignored that. So, legally speaking, the national government is responsible for the mess we are in. So whether that is constitutional or not constitutional, let the president go and say that in court. But what we have heard so far is that he says it is not the responsibility of his national government for this mess we are in. Forgetting to tell the people the truth. The issue of transmission and also the issue of distribution is different from those who are responsible for generation of electricity. In this case, it is ESCOM and the national government who are tasked to make sure that there is availability of electricity. So the Department of Minerals and Energy, which is part of the cabinet of South Africa, in terms of the law, they are responsible to make sure that there is generation of electricity. Whether they use renewable energy or they want to continue with the fossil fuel energy or an energy mix, but it is the responsibility of the president and his cabinet. The law says so. Let them come to court on the 20th. We will embarrass them there.
You know, General, some of this obviously is going to be tested and argued in court, but in his answering affidavit, President Ramaphosa argues that firstly, he is not guilty of dereliction of duty, but also says in terms of Part B of Schedule 4 of the Constitution, electricity and gas reticulation, says it's a competence of local government. But then at some point he also says, you know, even if a local government doesn't do this, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're guilty of dereliction of duty. Is it possible that you are all reading from the same book but different text and verse to support your individual arguments?
I would have supported him if he was prepared to apologize to the nation and also acknowledge that the national government has failed together with the ESCOM. There are three stages here. It's a question of generation. Once you generate electricity, then you must transmit it. Once you transmit it, it must go to the various areas, including local government. Local government then would be responsible for distribution, but not all municipalities. Not all municipalities distribute electricity. ESCOM distribute electricity directly to the homes. So in other words, President Ramaphosa is misguided in terms of the law. The national government is responsible for producing electricity. That's generation. You can't, for instance, expect the local government or a municipality to be responsible for load shedding. No, unless they produce that electricity themselves. So far, it has been monopolized by ESCOM, whose main shareholder of the ESCOM is the government. But what they should be looking at, if I were them, I would have long apologized and said, the money which was supposed to have been given to ESCOM, rather the money which was given to ESCOM to build two plants, Medupi and Kusile, that money through Hitachi and Chancellor House and ANC investment arm did not finish that project because part of those billions went to Lutile House. He must say I'm lying.
General, I mean, there are a lot of arguments which we'll also talk about later on with the legal analyst, but I also want to understand this. You spoke about his belonging to the ANC earlier on. So then there's the whole issue of separation of party and state and what the state is obligated to do, what government is obligated to do. He says the Constitution in itself does not enjoin the president to do anything in particular in this regard, and neither does it flow what kind of consequences must be prescribed. But most importantly, you were just speaking about the local municipality. Section 4 of the Municipal Systems Act of 2000 provides that municipal councils have a duty to give members of a community equitable access to municipal services to which they are entitled. As you say, not all of them are responsible for that. But the semi-federal nature of the state, is this also partly why there is a difference of opinion in terms of accountability and consequence action?
Well, unfortunately, you don't seem to understand what I'm trying to say. The municipality might be responsible for whatever you have just described, but where do they get electricity? It's generated from ESCOM. President Cyril Ramaphosa cannot shackle his responsibility. He is the president of this country. He is the CEO of South Africa. So if they are not delivering in terms of the mandate, they were voted into power to make sure that the people of South Africa are safe. Today, as we speak, the hospitals are struggling, mortuaries are struggling, the schools which are using ICT centers and schools which are using IT systems are struggling. The police are also not safe. So who's responsible for that? You can't accuse or blame ESCOM, the local government for that.
All right. Thank you so much.
The ministers are there.
No, you can finish your train of thought.
Must I finish?
Yes, you can go ahead and finish.
Okay, I thought you were saying my time is up. Now, the ministers who are in his cabinet, whether it's ESCOM, is any other department, have let down this government precisely because they've usurped powers of the accounting officers. They have interfered. If, for instance, the issue of ESCOM, the billions which were given to ESCOM to build the Medupi and Kusile plant, which are struggling to generate at full capacity as we speak, had that money been given to the departments, to ESCOM, without the involvement of the political party or the cabinet ministers, today would be having electricity. This corruption is embedded right through the government, through the ANC government.
Thank you so much.
Whether you like it or not, but
All right. Unfortunately, we have run out of time this time, General, but thank you so much for your time. UDM leader General Bantu Holomisa speaking to us about the court action that they're taking alongside other opposition parties and other parties. In just a moment, we're going to get some legal analysis on some of the laws and what the General has just spoken about, their interpretation, what the President is saying. Do stay with us.